Hey BookTube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. My channel is going through a bit of a transition and a bit of a hiatus at the moment, but some people were kind enough to tag me in some videos, and so I have made those kind of the high priority videos to make. This is a fantastic tag. It is called, well, it's called the Nostalgia Book Tag, but I have also seen it called the Book Nostalgia Tag. So this tag was created by Noah at Everyone Who Reads Must Converse. And then Summer at Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats has added some questions that I'll be doing. And I was tagged by Jordan Parsons. Thank you so much, Jordan, for tagging me. And if you haven't checked out Jordan's channel, you really should give it a go. I also just want to mention the people that I'm going to tag, and I'm not sure, some people may have already done this tag. I apologize, but these are all tags that, or these are all channels that I think deserve more attention. So I'm going to tag Shelly Swearingen. Brandon's Bookshelf. Brandon is almost to 100 subscribers, so maybe wander on over there. Beating Around the Books, Red.Reads, and Michelle Lexi. So if you have already done the tag, my apologies. And if you haven't done this tag and I didn't tag you and you want to, please feel free to go for it. So let's get into the prompts. So the first one is the oldest book from your life that you still own. Well, not unfortunately, but one of my nieces recently had a child, and my mother had just recently I unhauled, I guess if you will, a lot of my children's books to me. And I thought it would be great to send them to my niece. But there were a few that I couldn't quite let go of. This one in part because it's got my name on the cover of it. Didn't think that would be a very nice gift. But this is Christina, Katerina, and the Box. And I looked up who the author was. Patricia Lee Gauch. And this is about a girl. Her family gets like a refrigerator or some kind of appliance, and there's a really big box, and she asks if she can have the box, and she changes it into all kinds of things until she essentially wears the box out. But it's just a great story about imagination. Next question is first loved library book. And I have tried to think of what that might be. And the truth is, you guys, I mean, I pretty much grew up in libraries, and I just don't know. Question 3, a book given to you. So went with Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. This is, and not this particular copy, but this is the first book that Jason bought me. I think he got this for Christmas for me the first year we met. I have no idea what I gave him, but I do remember him giving this to me, and I remember thinking like, I really should read this soon because this is clearly like an important book to my friend Jason. So, yeah, and honestly, Jason has given me or directed me toward a lot of wonderful books over the year. We argue over a few things, but yeah, I mean, I have a lot. I was looking around the library, and there are so many wonderful books that Jason's given me. Let's see, question number 4, a book recommended to you, and that is BookTube. BookTube has recommended the Barset Shire novels or chronicles. I'm so sorry. The first one's The Warden, and the second one is Barchester Towers, which I did read this year. And I would have never picked these books up had it not been for BookTube, and I'm so glad I did. Barchester Towers is absolutely delightful. The warden is great. The warden's nice because it's a little bit slimmer, so it's not quite as intimidating. But I really am enjoying these books. You guys have given me all conflicting evidence of like, how do I read the whole series? Do I just read Dr. Thorne? What do I do from here? Because I don't think I'm going to be able to read all of Trollope in my life. So, so let me know if you have any advice for me. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a survey or something on my on my community tab. Question number 5, a buddy read text. So this is actually I think this is the first buddy read I did on BookTube, which is The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. This was a very important book to me in high school. I read this in my senior English class. And so not last November, the first year of my channel, so my channel had been, my channel wasn't even 6 months old, and I did a read along of this on my channel, but pretty much it was Joe Smith who participated, as well as on the periphery Wilson. And Wilson, I miss you. I wish you would tell me how you are and what's going on in your life. I hope you're well. But nonetheless, that was, I'm pretty sure, the first thing I read with Joe Smith. We have gone on to read many, many other fantastic books. And I just really value Joe's friendship. Question number 5. Book introduced in school. I did mention The Scarlet Letter. And the other book I want to mention, it's not East of Eden, but let's talk about Steinbeck here for a second. So I think it was my junior year of high school, we read Of Mice and Men. My English teacher was okay, not great, but all right. Anyway, he was out sick one day, or he was gone for my particular class period, and the person who was teaching senior English at the time filled in for him. And that was really like the first time I remember, like, he was just like unveiling all of these layers Of Mice and Men that I had never seen, that I didn't know were in there. It was the first time really that I saw how a book could be about so much more, right, than just kind of what's up here floating on the surface. Like, there's all this stuff down below. I guess I'm nostalgic about it in terms of the fact that it was a real surprise and a new way of looking at the text that I was reading. Okay. Genre fiction that inspires nostalgia. I don't have any of these anymore, but they were never mine anyway, but I read a lot of romance in middle school and high school that was not meant for middle school and high schoolers. I remember, so many Laverle Spencer books. Oh, and I wouldn't just read them. I'd read them and read them and I'd read them over and over again. So, and I have mixed feelings in hindsight about like what that kind of expectation then was set up for me in terms of relationships by reading all of that. But anyway, I was a huge Laverle Spencer fan. I don't know that I want to go back and reread any of those. Maybe one time. Jason and I have actually talked about doing a buddy read of a romance novel and talking about it on BookTube. So that might be a possibility. Question number 8, a literary work that inspires nostalgia. So with this, I'm going with The Late George Apley by John Marquand. And this was the first book that I read as part of the Pulitzer Project. And I remember I stayed up late for me at the time to finish this book. I was so excited, and I need to reread this because it was that was quite a while ago that I read this. So it was 2007 that I read this book. Question number 9, a spiritual text that inspires nostalgia. I talked about this on my channel before, like maybe Midrash and things like that. This is The Ragamuffin Gospel by Brennan Manning. No, that is not Brennan Manning at the bottom of the church door. That's Rich Mullins, who was a Christian singer and who died tragically in a car accident. But both Rich Mullins and Brennan Manning have been very influential. But this was the first book that I read that I really felt like it's just page after page about grace and forgiveness and how much we're loved by God. This was a real, again, kind of just a turning point in my faith. And I've read some other Brennan Manning books, but this is the one that I just always kind of, if I'm going to go back to Brennan Manning, this is what I would want to read. So, all right. Okay, so these are some bonus questions created by Summer at Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. Was there a book banned to you growing up? No. No. My family had books everywhere. My parents still have books everywhere. It's amazing. For a while, there were a bunch of books in the garage, like on shelves in the garage. I'm like, Dad, do you need a thesaurus when you're out in the garage? Yeah, they're just, it's just everywhere. And I feel fortunate, although again, there's a few things that in hindsight I'm like, I wasn't real. That was maybe not the best thing for me to read. I wish in hindsight that I had turned my attention to some other things, but whatever. So yeah, like any book in the house I wanted to read, I could just snatch it off the shelf and read it. I was very much a child that was expected to entertain herself. So we got to summer and it was like, like, how are you going to spend your day? What are you going to do? Christmas vacation, holidays, all that kind of stuff. A lot of it was, if you don't entertain yourself, then you have to sit at a table with a bunch of adults and talk to us. Yeah, but there was absolutely no restrictions in my house as far as what I read and when I wanted to read it. So, question 2. When was the first time or first book that you could feel was written by someone from a country different than your own? So I read Shakespeare in high school, but I read this one. We've seen a lot of familiar books here, right? I read Pride and Prejudice my senior year of high school. My grandmother bought me this book. I'm so glad I have the A&E miniseries edition with Colin Firth on it. But yes, this was it, and it was such a hard book for me to read at the time. And but the payoff was so great, right? So anyway, I really, this is a very, very special book to me for so many different reasons, but the main one is that my grandmother got it for me, and it introduced me to a whole world that, again, hadn't really, I wasn't a great reader. Let's just put it that way. Like, I read, but I also, spent a lot of time watching MTV and VH1, and some of you probably don't even know what those are, but that's okay. So, the other book I wanted to mention, which is not outside my country, but definitely was sort of a mind shift kind of book, was the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. And I can't remember what age I was when I read this, but it was really shocking to me and really powerful. And even though it takes place in, it's about American history, and about one person's experience of slavery, I just, out here in the West, like, that's not always what teachers' highest priorities are in terms of teaching those kinds of things. So this was just a really eye-opening kind of read for me. So not a different country, but a different world and a different way of seeing my own country's history. So I saw that on the shelf and I just thought I grabbed it. Have you ever found anything in a book? Yes, I definitely have. The things I mostly find are, when I was doing the Pulitzer Project, in which I read all the books that have won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, I bought a lot of books used. There were newspaper clippings inside about the authors. There were, like all kinds of bookmarks. And Jordan said that he had found money in a book, which I was like, that's never happened to me. My grandmother, though, was absolutely notorious for putting things in books, especially cookbooks. And I do have her copy of, I didn't bring it down, but I do have her copy of, what is it? The Joy of Cooking, I think. And there's Kleenexes in there, there's newspaper articles, there's all sorts of ephemera in there, and I definitely leave it in there. Like it stays as part of that book because it's my grandmother. Do you have any upcoming read that inspires nostalgia? Okay, so I don't know when exactly I might read this book, but this is definitely a nostalgic book for me. So this is The History of Wyoming by T.A. Larson. And this book was given to my parents by T.A. Larson, I think in 1971. Yeah, and I'm not going to show the inscription because it's got their names in there. I don't really want to divulge their privacy, but yeah. So this is a book I remember my parents talking so much about their college professors, and T.A. Larson, when he wrote this History of Wyoming, this was the book everyone read in college. Everyone was required to take a class on the history of Wyoming for a very, very long time. And again, for a state that has somewhere between 500 to 600,000 people in it, people within the state must be the ones to write the history, right? Because nobody else is going to write a book about the history of Wyoming from someplace else. So I do want to at least peruse this book. Oh gosh, I'm finding like stuff that is underlined in here. That's interesting. Yeah, so I would like to know more about the history of my state. Now, obviously, there are more recent books about the history of Wyoming. I even have one of my school books about the history of Wyoming, but anyway, yeah. So I don't know exactly when I'm going to read this, and maybe it'll just be something I read in snippets, like over the course of a year or something like that. But yeah, I do want to know. I would like to read this one. So, all right. Well, thank you again, Jordan, so much for tagging me. If you have a book that you're really nostalgic about and you'd like to share with me in the comment section down below, that would be great. Or answer the questions if you don't have a channel of your own. Yeah, feel free to respond to any of these books that I'm nostalgic about, and or share, like I said, a story about a book that you're nostalgic about. All right, BookTube, remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.